paper crafters, this is Colette. Kaisercraft have just released some decorative dies that coordinate beautifully with some of their clear stamps, and in today's video I want to show you how to use these. This is great news because it saves all of that detailed fussy cutting which a lot of us don't like, and this combination really does add a lot of, I guess, creative sophistication to your crafting. So let's get started. Now there are a number of ways that people like to actually use these. The first way is to actually take the stamp and to stamp up first. So just zooming in here so you can see what I'm doing here. I'm going to take one of the stamps from the set. This is the set from the Ma Cherie collection. I'm going to pop this onto an acrylic block, and I'm going to take this beautiful avocado ink pad. It's a lovely green, and I'm just going to stamp this up. So all I'm doing is I'm just tapping, just tap tap tap. You don't want to smudge it down and get that ink everywhere because you'll end up with a messy stamped image. So once I've done that, I can take this now and then just stamp this up on a piece of cardstock. So just give it, a couple of seconds for the ink to absorb into that paper, and just put even pressure all the way around on your stamp pad. So once you've done that, you can take that away, and you can see we have a really pretty butterfly. Particularly like this because you can see all those gorgeous veins. Now the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to cut this out. So I'm going to take the coordinating butterfly, which is this one, and I'm going to get my Bigshot in place, and we're actually going to run that through. So with your Bigshot, your sandwich for cutting is exactly as you would do with any other die. And just remember guys, the Kaisercraft dies work with your embossing machines, your Cuttlebugs, your Easy Cuts. Most of the die cutting machines work beautifully with these Kaisercraft dies. So I've got the precision base paint, which I'm really enjoying using. If you don't have one of these, just go ahead and pop down your acrylic plate. I find the cut with these base plates is really, really nice. So what you do is you pop your die down, and then you take your butterfly template and you position that over the top. Now there is a tendency to move these dies when they go through, and there's a couple of tips that I can give you for this. First of all, create your sandwich on the actual machine itself. Don't do it off the machine and then transfer it, because there is a likelihood that that die is going to move. You could of course use your magnetic plate if you have one. If you don't have a magnetic plate, you need to hold this down somehow, and you want a really low tack tape. Now what I use is I use some of the Kaisercraft printed tape. I find this really useful. I have lots of it, absolutely love it, use it in a lot of ways for my crafting. But it is a little bit tacky, and the problem is if it's tacky, when I take it away, it's going to take some of the paper away. So all you do guys, excuse me here, you just take your t-shirt and you rub it on that t-shirt there, and then you pull it off, and that takes away some of that tackiness. So it's super easy then to actually put onto your die. Okay, so this is fine now. I can pop this piece down here. I should have pre-done another piece there guys, I'm sorry, you're going to have to repeat that, but I won't shove my arm in your face. Okay, so that should be, it's great actually because it takes any fluff off your t-shirts at the same time, so double jobbing. Okay, so popping that down here as well, so that's nice and secure. I know when I pass this through the machine it is not going to move. So all I now need to do is to take my cutting plate, my acrylic plate, pop that on top, and to whiz that through my machine. Okay, and then what we have is just removing this double-sided or printed tape, and you can see there's no torn paper. Leave that there for next time. I usually always have some printed tape on my machine ready to roll. And then you can see now we have got cut out a really pretty little butterfly. So that saves fussy cutting, and to be honest guys, I wouldn't be able to fussy cut as neatly as this die cut has done. And don't forget, we've got this piece here which is left. We can use this to spray as a mask, we can put stamping down on this, we can do a whole range of things. We can make cute shaker boxes, all sorts of stuff with this relief, so keep both pieces. So that's one way of actually doing it, and that's probably the way most people would go ahead and use these dies and stamps together. I like to do it a little bit differently. So my preferred method of doing this is to do it the other way around. So just moving this to one side for now. Getting this back because I need it back. I'm not very organised. What I like to do is to take my cardstock. Now I know that the Kaisercraft dies are really good, and I know that I can cut quite comfortably 2 butterflies at a time, and I always love using butterflies, so let's go ahead, live dangerously, cut 2 at a time. So normal cutting platform as before, whizzing that through. Just move this to the side, and you can see now then what I have got is I have got my 2 butterflies all cut out and ready to go. So I've got 2 butterflies here. All right, and what I'm going to do now is to stamp them up. Now I much prefer this method because the great thing with Kaisercraft is that their stamps are see-through, in other words they're acrylic, and that means that I can very comfortably stamp with them. So I'm just going to clean this off, and when I'm crafting I do tend to just whisk them with a wet wipe, and then when they're ready to go away I will actually clean them properly with a stamp cleaner, because the stamp cleaner does condition them and helps them to stop becoming brittle as time goes by. Now I'm going to live a little bit dangerously. I've got the avocado here, so I'm going to just stamp up the bottom of this pretty old butterfly, get rid of any excess. I was looking at the camera then instead of the stamp. And then I've got a little bit of a pink. This one here is petal pink, which is really soft and very, very pretty, and it will complement that green beautifully. So stamping up the petal pink. And all I have to do now is to take my image and to take my stamp, and I can see exactly where I'm stamping and do it this way. So that way there's absolutely no chance of my, no need for me to worry about my die moving, because I'm going to stamp it up and be precise afterward, which I can do. So, oh, that's very pretty. So you can see here we've got this lovely, lovely butterfly in a bit of a mixture of that beautiful avocado and petal pink ink pads from Kaisercraft. Lovely. Okay, so that's a couple of ways of actually using the dies. Now you need to experiment with both and see which way you prefer. Just another little tip here, Kaisercraft have a stamp block. You can see here I had a perfect size stamp block. Being a big stamper, I have lots of stamp blocks, so I'm very lucky, but you might just need to go and get one. So if you toddle off and grab the Kaisercraft one, it's going to be very similar to this one, except it hasn't got the grids, and might be a little bit shorter, but it fits all the Kaisercraft stamps. I haven't got mine with me today, but what I do want to show you is that if you wanted to stamp up this little this one here, when you stamp it up, there is a chance that you're not going to stamp all of it because it's unbalanced. So what I would do is I would take another stamp from your collection and balance it up. So now when I go to stamp, there's no wibbling or wobbling at all. It's all totally balanced. What I would do is just ink up that one, and that one is just standing there by itself, not going to mark anything, but just to help with the balance. So you can actually balance your stamps up if you just have the larger bases. Okay, so this is another idea that I had using these. So as well as the cutouts, don't forget, keep these masks, they're going to be great for a whole number of projects. I thought it would be fun to create a little bit of a different card, And the way that I've done that is I have got some a Kaisercraft C6 card. Now these are fabulous cards. The card weight is really good, and I do use these for all of my crafting projects for cards. They come in a range of colours, they come in square or C6 size. They are really a good price as well. So I've taken one of these C6 cards. The pack comes with envelopes, which is a bonus as well. I've taken one of the C6 cards, and what I've done is I have cut another piece of white cardstock slightly smaller than my card front, and I'm going to stick that down temporarily. Now for my temporary adhesions I tend to use the My Stick repositioner, which I find to be really very good. So I'm just going to stick that down in position like that. Okay, then I'm going to open this card up, and I'm just going to do one butterfly here. I'm going to pop a butterfly, and I'm going to just cut the one butterfly out. So this butterfly is now cut out. And again, going through the two pieces of card very comfortably. So I've got these little guys here, the two, I can separate them because they're still stuck. One of the things with this My Stick, you can see it's a repositional one, so all I have to do is erase it with my finger, and that's now gone. And that's why I really like that one for these repositional things. So I'm going to keep those for later on. I can stamp those up and play with them later. This is what I want to work on. So I'm going to peel away my top layer. And then I'm just going to rub away any excess glue. Don't want that there. Okay, fabulous. And then I thought it would be really good fun to take the coordinating butterfly, which is this one here, stamp that up with whatever colours you like. And then stamp in the gap. What fun! Couple of seconds, guys, to get that ink to absorb into that paper. And look, can you see? I've got this little butterfly hiding behind the little hole. And I just took that a little bit further, and what I did, I created a little card for you to have a look at. It's a real simple little card, but this is what I did. A little bit of fun. So you can see inside I've got 3 butterflies which I stamped behind the 3 holes that I made, and I used some acetate behind the actual mask. So that was the mask. Remember I put that on top, and what I've done is I put some foam tape behind here and stuck that on top, but I put the acetate behind this one first. So we have that lovely shimmer and shine of the acetate, and I used some of the beautiful printed tape from Kaisercraft that I used earlier. It's just simply called butterflies because it's a lovely row of butterflies and some of their beautiful little mini blooms. And I just edged it, and then I just popped that up on foam to give it a bit more of an interest and a bit more of a rise. So it's a very pretty one. A little tip here with foam, this is something I always do without exception. If I was going to stick this down on top, what I would do is I'd take my foam tape and I would just cut as much of this. I'd probably put a little bit more than what I'm using here, but this is just to show you this technique that I do. Okay, whiz it off as we always do. It's great to have a few nails with this one. If you don't have nails, a little pricker to get that tape off is really good. And this is my tip. It works every time, and I do it every time without doubt. Okay, what I have here is I have the Kaisercraft acid-free craft glue. It's nice and light and it's perfect for this. What I do is I just basically, I know you think, gosh, she's crazy, it's already sticky. I just spread glue on top of each of these pieces of tape. Alright, And then what I do is I take this and I can position this now exactly on top, because my foam squares are going to slip and slide until I get it exactly in the position. Without that wet glue, as soon as your foam hits the paper underneath, it grabs it and it ain't moving. So that's a really good technique, and that enables me to be really precise with my placement when I'm using foam tape. Another popular technique with the butterflies, and you'll see this on a number of the cards on the blog today, is to actually fold them back and to layer them on top of each other. So you get a whole range of fluttering butterflies, and that looks very pretty. My last little tip for you today, or technique to show you, is how I actually fold these, because people say to me they look lovely on the card once you've done it, but once you pop them in the post it's just going to be flattened out. So the way that I avoid that is I take my card base, and let's say I wanted to, let's get this one that we stamped up earlier. I want to stick this little guy down. What I do is I take my scissors and I just go up the body a little bit further on both sides, and then I will fold it back so I've got this little edge here. I grab my foam tape again, and I'm going to just cut a few little strips of the foam tape. Now you can have higher or lower if you want to, and I'm going to pop that off. This is the only time actually I wouldn't use the wet glue on the foam tape. And then what I like to do there in that centre is I like to use glossy accents, and I do that because it dries really quickly for this technique. Now you'll notice my glossy accents doesn't have a lid. If you've used glossy accents, you'll have the same issue that I had, and that is every time I took the lid off I'd have to get a pin and prick it, and it used to drive me potty. I have found that if you put in one of these little tags that you get off clothes labels when you buy new clothes, I just simply have this kept inside my glossy accents, and that's how it sits, just like that. It never clogs up, it's just perfect. So that's a great thing. So go out and buy some new clothes, girls, you've got a good excuse now. So I'm just simply going to run some of this glossy accents down that body, and then I'm going to stick that body down first, and then I'm just going to pop the wings down. Of course you can actually fold those wings to begin with if you wanted, just roll them a little bit. I haven't got a pencil here at hand, but just even with my scissors. And that will enable you to have, you can see there, it's more curved. This one here I've got is more out, so depending on the look that you want. So that is not going to collapse at all. It's still mounted beautifully and supported on the wings with that foam tape, and already that body in the centre has stuck down. And of course kinderglitz, pearls, lots of beautiful things, little pearl butterfly trails will be just gorgeous. So those are a few tips and techniques on using your decorative dies and matching stamp sets. Look out for these. The butterfly one I think has just got to be a must too. Everyone loves butterflies on cards. They're great for sympathy, for friendship, for thank you, for birthdays, so they are multi-used. And I hope you have enjoyed my video today. A bit messy, this is how I normally work actually. For my videos I do like to try and keep them tidy. I haven't succeeded today. So hopefully that's given you some ideas on using these great dies. Look at the wonderful creations the girls have made using them on the blog today. That's a Kaisercraft blog, of course. My name's Colette. Thank you for watching. Bye bye.